Lachie, Neal, welcome to the podcast, brother.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for having me on. I've seen a couple of your guests and they're pretty big dogs, so it's a pleasure for me to be on.
We got another one right here. How you feeling, mate? You had a big training day? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel good. Early in the season, so body's not too banged up yet.
Yeah.
We had a solid day today, playing a couple of days, so big day out at the club, and then into it in a couple of days. But I'm feeling good and energised and ready to go.
It's funny, like first, how do you go? Because I remember when we were playing, it was like the first couple rounds, body's like a little bit sore with the contact and everything like that. It probably takes like a couple games to find your feet. How are you feeling out of the gate? Are you feeling pretty fresh, pretty good, or?
I actually feel better this year early on. I think I got managed like really well through the preseason.
Yeah.
And then you have a couple of preseason hit outs where I reckon like after the Adelaide one, I think it was out here, which was a full hit out, like full minutes and everything. I was like, I don't know how we do this for another 25 weeks. But yeah, like you said, after a couple of weeks, you sort of get into a bit of a groove. And I think as well, you know your body, you know what you have to do recovery wise, mentally to get yourself up and whatnot for training and games now. This is my 14th season, so
jeez, man, how good.
Long time in the game, and you figure out what works for you, and early on I'm feeling good, but if you ask me in 5 weeks, it'll be a different story.
How do you reckon your prep for the season has changed from when you first started versus now, 14 years later?
Yeah, I think I'd probably look at the season as a whole a lot better now and figure out, sort of map out my season instead of looking at round one. Like I reckon your first few years, or even when I first came here when I was 25, I reckon you're just like all in on round one. You're like, I've got to be primed and ready to go.
Yeah.
Round one, like that's everything. Whereas now, being captain as well, you sort of look at the club as a whole, your whole season, how the squad's sort of tracking compared to previous years, and you're taking a lot more of a holistic approach rather than just focusing on yourself and round one and going, I've just got to be ready to go for round one. I want to hit the season in my best form ever. Whereas now, I want to play well and do what I have to do to contribute, but I'm not sort of hell-bent on being the best player I can be in round one. I want to build, and hopefully the team's going well, and then by finals, that's when you want to be playing your best footy.
Mate, that's where you want to be. How was it coming off the back of last season? Because there's got to be like a good vibe in the club, right?
Yeah, great vibe and unbelievable season last year. It's hard to sort of move past it. Like even now, everyone asks you about it. You speak about it a lot, which is why you do it as well. Like you want those memories, and it's awesome and amazing to talk about. But we're into a new season now, and you're sort of like, all right, I want to park that and get on to this year, which I think the group's done really well. We sort of spoke as a club when we came back to pre-season. Righto, last year's done.
Yeah.
We sort of said we want to enjoy it a little bit because we understand Christmas and stuff. You see family that you might not have seen and enjoy it with them. So it was sort of once we got back from Christmas break, righto, no more sort of talk of it. And within the four walls, clearly you're going to have conversations.
Naturally. But like right now.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro.
But you want to, you want to move past and get stuck into the new year. But yeah, the guys came back really fit. That's all you can sort of ask. It's a bit cliche, but yeah, the guys were in good shape, that's probably the biggest worry.
Yeah.
Sort of like everyone partied a bit too hard and drank too many beers and come back unfit, but the guys looked in good shape early on.
Mate, it's interesting. I was interested about like the internal conversations that you have like between teammates and coaches as well. Like, where do you go? Like, because you had such great success, and then like, is it obviously what you said about parking it? But I'm always conscious, like, do you want to keep that fostering like that winning environment, because like naturally you got to take that into the next season, or is it like parking? I thought that was super interesting.
Yeah, it's park it, but I feel like a lot of times you think you have to improve so much every year. So for us, we haven't changed a whole lot of how we play and our process during the week. We just want to get better at it again. So that worked for us last year. Let's do that again, but just get better at it. And since Fags has came to the Lions, his big thing has always been about improving every day and improving every year. And I feel like we've pretty much done that every year that he's coached. So for us, it's about getting better at what we do, what we're already good at. Let's be great at it, go again. I think as well, there's little things that you can tap into, like the last 2 premiers haven't made finals the next year. So you sort of go, righto, let's not do that. There's just little things that you can tap into for motivation for the group. But there'll be guys that still want to prove themselves. Yeah, we've got a lot of young players as well playing footy, like Kai and Logan Morris, Jasper Fletcher, Will and Levi Ashcroft. We've got heaps of young guys still that want to make careers rather than just have one great season last year, and that drives us older boys as well.
Well, 100%, it has to, bro. otherwise, the
They're
young
kicking
cops
us
are going
out
to
of the
come
team.
through.
Yeah.
Do you have much conversations with the young boys
Yeah, I speak to them a fair bit. And
in terms of like longevity, skill, like time in the game, even stuff like outside of footy? Like, what are the main conversations you're having with them?
yeah, probably away from footy, to be honest. They know how to play, and they've got coaches that help them with their on-field development. For me, it's sort of what I spoke about just before as well, about it's not all about early days. And when you're young, you can get so caught up in your own world in terms of footy. There's more to life than footy, obviously. It's your number one priority when you're young. And even for me, it's probably my second priority after my family. But so it's a massive part of my life. But you just don't want to get bogged down by the day-to-day, because you might have a bad session. You don't want to be thinking about that for 2 days. Rolls into the next session. So for me, I try and get them to think about the mental side of the game. I talk to a lot of the young guys about moving past mistakes or bad games. I know from experience for me, if I played a bad game, I'd dwell on it for ages as a kid.
That's what you used to do.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then I probably, maybe like my 3rd or 4th year, I can't quite pinpoint exactly when it was, but I came up with this thing. Maybe someone told me, I can't remember, but the day after a game, so be shitty, be upset with how you played and whatnot for sort of 12 to 24 hours. And I go, righto, when I jump in the pool the day after a game, I jump in our pool at home. When I get out of that, I've washed away, whether it's good, bad, ugly, whatever happened in the game before, I've left it in the pool, washed it off myself, and now it's a new week. So
Bro, I love
it's just
that.
like a little metaphor or whatever you want to say that I use every game now. So whether if I've dominated and been the best player, wash it away the next day, back to being level. So you're never too high, never too low. But you allow yourself to either glow in a win or sort of dwell on a loss for that short amount of time. But instead of letting it drag on for 4 or 5 days, I just bang up the next day. Once I've jumped out of the pool, it's gone. And
Man, I love that, because my first thought is just like, oh, well, like naturally you want to do that after a loss, right? Like you just want to wash it off, get on to the next week. Big conversations within the clubs. But I like what you said about when you're winning as well.
Yeah.
Got to keep it humble, brother.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
I think it's a big part of it. And I think for me as well, being a dad now, it's even more important, because if I'm moping around for 3 days, it's not good for my wife, Jules, or the kids. No fun to be around. But I sort of came up with that before I was married and stuff as well. It just helped me move past it. And I try and sort of use that with the young guys to get them going early in the week, rather, because they can be in their heads. And I get that. I've been through all of that. It's a tough industry, and I think as well, making sure they've got stuff that they love doing outside of the game. We have a massive golf culture here at the club, which is pretty cool. I think, what would he have, 45 guys on the list? I reckon, I'm going to say mid-30s have like a handicap and play golf weekly.
Mate, that's unreal.
It's crazy.
That's so sick.
Yeah, it's unreal.
I wonder, like, because obviously, like, I don't look so much in the AFL world. I look at a lot in the NRL world, because that's my background. But most of the teams that go on like regular top 4 finishes, they all have like a really great bond and unit like outside the club.
Yeah.
And then so when you look at the boy, like 30 of the crew are playing golf.
It's
boys
crazy.
are playing in the days off. Like that, for me, that just makes so much sense.
And I think it helps as well being interstate. I'm not sure how many exactly, but probably between 6 and 10 guys on the list are from Brisbane and Queensland in general. So we're all from interstate. So we're sort of like our family, the guys at the club and their partners and stuff. So we do a lot of things together off the field, which is we've used to our advantage. Yeah. I think maybe 10 years ago there was guys that left the club because they were homesick and whatnot and went back to their home states, whereas now the club's created such a great culture and a vibe that guys want to stay here, and we've attracted a lot of talent as well. And I think a lot of that is like the camaraderie off the field with playing golf and hanging out on the days off. It's it's pretty incredible. Even little things like with the cyclone or when there's floods and stuff that happen in Brizzy, guys will be messaging everyone in the group chat saying who needs like a hand to come over and shovel mud out of your driveway or whatever it is. yeah, it's a pretty special culture that the guys have built, and I've sort of jumped in on that, and yeah, it's a cool place to be.
You obviously enjoyed the move, like from Freo but over here. Like it's been like you're happy with the move. Like it's been a good result.
Yeah, loved it. Clearly, on field it's worked out really well, but off field as well, I've loved my time in Brizzy and started our family here, which is pretty cool. So our kids are Queenslanders, which if you had said that to me like even 7 or 8 years ago before I'd have been like, what the hell, no way. So yeah, it's been awesome. It's been a great journey. When we first moved, like I was pretty nervous about it. Freo are a great club and loved my time there. Just needed a change and just sort of was nervous about coming here. The club hadn't gone that well, but you could sort of tell they were on the right track.
Yeah.
But it can turn south pretty quick as well. But we, I've been lucky enough to play finals every year I've been here, and our life outside of footy is awesome. The climate here, it's clearly so good in winter. Summer's a bit hard, but it helps with the skin folds in pre-season. Yeah, we love our lifestyle here. It's so cruisy. Everyone's so friendly. Footy's AFL's picked up heaps in Brisbane, and people do recognise you, but it's not as sort of full on. It's not in the media as much. It's just kind of like a nice vibe. If you play bad, I love it. It's so good. If you play bad, no one really, they say, oh, bad luck. Whereas in Perth and all in Melbourne, they sort of say, oh, why didn't your coach do this? Or what happened here? And you're sort of like, oh, just trying to get a coffee, mate. Like, leave me alone.
Leave me alone,
here, the people might recognise you, but they just say hello and they don't sort of get caught up too much in results, which is pretty cool.
That's so nice. Mate, it's interesting. Like even, to be honest, having these conversations, like it's a mental health and sport podcast.
Yeah.
Very rarely speak about sport. Like it's kind of just like the natural theme, but I love where your head goes around like having a life like outside of footy. I think that's such a beautiful piece, like the way you talk about golf and your family as well. What are some of the things that you do outside of footy that help you on, like during the season, keeping balance almost? That's kind of, I guess, where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I'm doing my MBA, so Masters in Business as well. So
what was your undergrad? Did you do an undergrad?
Nah, well, my undergrad was doing 10 years at AFL level.
And that's
that
sweet.
Sort of counts. So I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that or not, but
no, maybe I did the exact same thing.
That I didn't actually have to do an undergrad, which was nice. Sort of just slid straight into this and enjoying that. And I'm doing a little bit of like work experience on our Wednesday, which is our day off, with a business, Aria. So they're helping me out this year, which is pretty cool. They're a great company, and I'd sort of obviously with that. Bit of golf where I can and family time. It's pretty busy, but it's awesome. I feel like I've got a great balance. It's taken me a while to get that balance. At times I've overdone it and been too busy, and other times I've sort of sat around, especially before I had kids, and just sort of sat around playing PlayStation and not doing a whole heap. But I feel like I know where I'm at in my career. I don't have that long left. Turning 32 this year, so if I'm lucky, I get 4 or 5 years out. If I'm not so lucky, it could be 2 years. So I understand and accept where I'm at in terms of my career, and I've got to set myself and my family up for years to come, and I've got to make sure I'm ready to transition outside of the game, which I feel like I'm in a good spot to do.
Yeah, I love that. It's interesting when because I was telling you my full-time job is I work for the NRLPA.
Yeah.
And especially in the past player space, and we have a lot of conversations, obviously with past players, but with their partners as well.
Yeah.
And almost all of them are like, oh, I can't wait for them to like finish and retire.
Yeah.
They're going to have so much time when they finish up. And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, they're going to have less time.
I say that to Jules as well.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, like even like the recovery is such a huge part of AFL and footy and most like contact sports, right?
Yeah.
You need to recover.
Yeah.
So you get a couple of days off especially throughout the season, back end of the season.
So good, yeah.
And then even the guys who are retired, they're like, man, I got to work a full-time job. I still want to train. Where do I see like my friends and family? And then it's the whole thing. I was like, you just got to like sort of almost like have that perception shift. But the guys who transition out, who do it successfully, they're doing what you're doing. Like they're doing the 1 day a week, they're doing work experience, they're curious about other things outside of sport, which I think is like, it's got to be the play.
Has to be. Yeah. Otherwise you see it with some guys, they're sort of a bit lost for 12, 24 months and hopefully they find their feet, but some don't. And I think it's a massive part of it. And the AFL and the club do like a pretty good job at encouraging that, and the PA as well. They're awesome, the AFL PA too. So I think in the last like 7-8 years, there's been a big shift in guys wanting to do stuff off field and be involved in study and whatnot. Whereas maybe when I first started, it was more like, right, you're here to do your job, play footy, and sort of that's it. But it's sort of shifted now for the betterment, obviously.
What do you reckon life looks like after footy? Do you think about that at all?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think about it a lot. I think for me, I'm not sure where we'll end up. We love Brisbane. We could stay here. My wife's from Perth, and I obviously spent 7 years playing over there and have strong ties to WA. We love it over there too, so we could end up back there. I'm from South Australia. I've got a great group of mates there, and my family's there, so that's an option. And then if I stay involved with footy, which I love the game and I love sport, so clearly Melbourne has 10 teams in the competition, so there's a chance we could end up there. I don't mind the media side of the game, so that's an option as well, hopefully. But I'm really loving getting to know the business world and whatnot too, and property and stuff as well. So I'm sort of dipping my toes in a lot of things, and I think it's good to just sort of diversify a bit, and then once I've finished, go, right, I've spent sort of 3 or 4 years dipping my toes in different things, and this is the path I want to go down. But if that doesn't work, then I've sort of got a background in something else too. So I always love footy, and I feel like my gut instinct tells me if I do go away from the game, I'll end up coming back to it. I just love the sport and grew up idolising players and the game and watching so much footy. Even now I watch quite a few games just as a fan on the weekend if I'm not playing. So, I think I'll always be drawn to AFL. And
were you always AFL growing up? Would you play a bunch of different sports?
Being from the country, I played heaps of sports, played cricket, basketball. Quickly realised I was going to be too small for that game. They're giants.
Hey, don't sell yourself short, brother.
Did tennis, soccer. Had a season of soccer, which I loved. My granddad is from England, and my mum grew up there and stuff. So we've got strong ties to English football, and I love soccer as well. But I just couldn't play both once I got a little bit older. Did athletics and stuff. We actually don't have any. There's no rugby until I went to high school to college in Adelaide. I was a boarder in year 10 to year 12, and they had like a rugby team, and I was like, it was so foreign to me being from South Australia. I was like, what is this game? Like, I had no idea. So until and then I went to WA, and they have the Western Force, but you don't hear really much about them at all. So until I got here, and then it's just like bang,
it's everywhere,
league in your face. I was like, I didn't know the difference between like league and union, and I was just like, what's going on? But it's been cool to sort of learn a new sport, and I'm a bit of a sport junkie, so I watch NFL and NBA and stuff where I can, and it's been kind of cool to be in a different environment and learn NRL. I don't see too much union, but the league. I watch a bit of that now.
Boys cross over a little bit. You know, have much to do with the Bronx boys?
We haven't had heaps to do with them. Some guys know some of the players. I've met a few of them now and got a relationship with a couple, which is pretty cool. When we both lost the grand final, we actually spent a night at the same pub, which was awesome. Like the whole playing squads had a couple of beers together, which was nice. Like clearly both lost very close games.
What are the conversations? Like, where do you go?
Well, it's just we'll get them next year. Like, there's not much to really say.
That's
but
what I mean. Like,
it was pretty cool just to hang out with them. We hadn't really done that as a club, and I don't really think it doesn't feel like to me that there's like a rivalry between the codes now. It's like if both teams are going well, you're going to draw crowds. We're both going to be successful, and the town will be buzzing. So it's like, why wouldn't you try and feed the other one? And I love watching the Bronx now, and even having the Dolphins in. I've met a couple of those boys too, and they're great fellas. So it's been cool to mix with another code.
Yeah, they're good lads, mate. Going back to growing up, did you always want to be a football player? Was that always the goal? Always.
From as far back as I can remember, I just wanted to play AFL, and it was sort of like that or bust when I was younger.
Really, yeah.
My mum and stuff would be like, you got to have a backup plan because every chance it doesn't happen. And I was like, nah, I'm just going to play footy. That's all I want to do. So I grew up. My parents split when I was 1 or something. But they get along really well now, which is awesome. And grew up mainly with with mum, and we had this room that I still remember. I would have been like 4 or 5 years old that I set up as a footy oval and used to play out a whole season, like a whole fixture.
Yeah.
Write in scores and everything, and there'd be 2 doorways that were the goals, and I'd play the whole season out. I grew up a Port Adelaide fan, and so that would end up winning the premiership, and I'd write it in a book, like all the scores and stuff. So I've been a fanatic ever since I could walk, really, and yeah, that's all I wanted to do.
Mate, going through, you had, like you said, 14 seasons. What's been the highlight?
Last year, clearly, the premiership, but I think just the journey, for me, once I won it, I think the cool thing was reflecting on those 14 years and the journey that it was to get there, and you think along the way that you're never going to win one, and losing the year before by 4 points or whatever it was, I was like, man, that was probably my last chance in a way. Like you never know if you're going to get that opportunity again. So to be able to win a premiership but then look back on all the trials and tribulations along the way was pretty cool with my family and my dad and my mum and stepdad and stuff, to sort of talk about all the highs and lows afterwards in the months following. That was probably the coolest part. And having from when I started to where I am now, looking at it, it's like I've just changed so much as a person. Like I'm a dad now and a husband, and my life's just completely changed, and it's all because of footy, and I've had some pretty special moments along the way.
What do you think's the biggest thing that you're proud of that doesn't involve footy?
Yeah, I think having a family and I'm very fortunate that I have a very supportive wife who lets me do what I do, and I'm super proud of her and what she's doing with the kids as well. So I'm really proud. I think that I'm doing a pretty good job as a dad, and I love being a dad, which I think before I had kids, I was sort of like nervous if I'd be a good dad, and it goes through your head like, oh, what if I'm not very good at it, and the kids hate me, and you're sort of like, it all crosses your mind. Yeah, for sure. You've got no idea what you're going to be like as a dad as well, and I've had great role models. My parents are unbelievable, so I was confident, but it still crosses your mind if you're going to be any good at it. So there's areas I think I'm a little bit impatient at times, and there's still areas I want to get better at, and it's sort of exciting though in a weird way, like to grow and develop as a parent too. So really proud of that, and I think as well I've got a pretty close friendship group that I've kept along the way too. I sort of haven't got lost in the rat race, I suppose, and shifted states, and still got some really close mates from South Australia that I don't think everyone would have. So I'm proud that I've been able to keep growing and developing those friendships too. Probably just more proud of the person that I am than my football.
Yeah, but I think that's like the most beautiful piece, like especially like away from sport. Like, and to be honest, man, I dead set think like good things happen to good people. Yeah, like it's almost like a fact for me. Like you can see the good crew who are doing good things like outside of the game. They're having like not only having positive success on the field, but like they're out. Like I was telling you, I caught up with one of the great men, Corey Oates. He was from the Bronx, and he was telling we were having just a similar conversation around like outside of footy, and just like, man, when I fix all the stuff, because he won't mind me saying, he spoke about it publicly, around like 2019, he was going through a really tough period. Did the whole psychologist thing, and he said, mate, once I started working on myself, and I got myself right first, he's like, everything opened up for me, and it was just like a game changer. Yeah,
it's so good to hear as well. Like for me, I know where I am, my values and stuff, and I've got still got work to do on myself that I'm, like I said, I'm excited to grow, and not just as a parent, but as a person as well. And I take sort of that side very seriously of myself. I know that footy's only a part of me and my journey, but I'm definitely not the perfect human being. I've got a lot of work to do on myself too, but it's great that I feel like now people are more open to discussing that and trying to get better themselves, rather than sort of keeping that part hidden and not speaking about it. For me, it's certainly not perfect, but it's something I'm proud that I'm always trying to get better as a person too, and as a friend, as a husband, and as a dad as well.
You mentioned values. how do you pick your values? Is it something that you like looked at all the whole list of values and words and you're like, you know what, these resonate with me, or they pass on from your family? Like, how do you, because you mentioned it, like, how do you know which ones suit you?
I think for me, I've grabbed different things off really influential people in my life. I've got a beautiful set of parents, my mum Amanda, my stepdad Brett, and then on dad's side, Robbie and my stepmum Deb, who have taught me a lot in obviously 30 odd years of life. So family's clearly number one for me, and that flows now into my family. I love being around those people, and I've got a couple of mates that I sort of idolise the way that they've been able to work through different things, and really, like, some of my mates have had some really bad stuff happen in their lives, and the way that they've been able to handle that and still be great people, I'm like, far out, that's amazing. So
can you give me an example of what that, like, obviously not specific situations, but like what you grab from them specifically?
Yeah, I think just their ability to still communicate openly with me when, like, I'd look at it and go, I'd probably shut down a bit and just sort of push everyone away and just try and cope by myself, and that's something that I've probably had to work on as well. So I grabbed that, but also just the person that they've become, when really easily it could go way off track, and their life could be in a really different direction. But they've been able to develop their job, have families, be great mates along the way. And so I'm super proud of a couple of my mates that, could have easily gone a different direction, but they just sort of communicate how they're feeling, the things that have happened, and like allow us other friends to help too, which is really important, and something that I've learned, because like I said, I reckon my tendency is probably to keep it and I'll deal with this myself, whereas now I'm starting to open up a bit more and tell my friends if I'm struggling and things like that, which I probably didn't used to do. And even with my wife, I reckon early on I would not tell her if I'm feeling like shit, whereas now I feel like I've opened up a lot more in that space, and it's because of people that I've been involved with and have helped me in that department too.
It's interesting, like once you can see it, you can almost do it, right?
Yeah.
Like it's real weird. It's especially like,
it's almost, it gives you the key to do it, doesn't it? It's crazy.
It's especially like when someone's vulnerable with you, it almost like allows you to be vulnerable with them.
Yeah.
It's real weird. Like it opens this door of communication. You said you weren't always like that. Do you think it was because your mate started doing that?
I think so, yeah. For sure. Like I've had ups and downs in my personal life as well. And like I said, I reckon I've kept it all in-house instead of getting help, and it's sort of hindered my development as a person, I reckon, in the past. Whereas now, I feel like I'm able to handle those a lot better by speaking about it to Jules, to my family, or to my mates as well. But yeah, I definitely learnt that off my friends. And Jules is pretty good at it too, so I've learned a fair bit from her as well. But probably I've learned so much about love and respect, I suppose, from her. That's the biggest thing that I've taken away from our relationship, and seeing her become a mother and the way that she interacts with them, and the way her face lights up talking about them and being around them. I've learned heaps from her as well. So I've been very lucky with the people in my life.
Do you guys talk about like what kind of parents you guys want to be?
A little bit. I think you don't really...
It just happens.
Yeah, it just happens. You feel... we spoke about it before. I remember we watched that show. There was like some show, and they were like talking about, I'm a helicopter parent, or there's all these like types, I don't know, tiger parent or something, where you're always like on top of your kids about school and stuff. And we were like, I wonder what we'll be. We're like, I'll probably be helicopter, like following around. But when you have, I think you have bits of everything, and certain situations require different approaches, right? So we don't really have a certain type. I'm pretty good cop though.
You're good cop. She's bad cop. You got off good.
Yeah. Like I said before, sometimes I'm impatient though. So sometimes I do get a little bit frustrated, and that's what I'm probably trying to work on the most at the moment. Because we have a daughter who's 3, right? So she's got all these feelings and emotions, and
she doesn't.
She doesn't know. She's getting cluey, but she probably doesn't know like why she's feeling this way, and she can break down and have a tantrum and stuff. And I'm just sort of like, stop crying. Like, we're doing everything you ask. So we're sort of at the moment, me in particular, I can just sort of shut off and sort of like let her cry it out or whatever instead of being a bit more supportive. So yeah, I've still got, like I said, areas to work on. And then we've got a little 3-month-old who he's perfect at the moment. He doesn't do anything wrong. He's a little champ.
It,
I know.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait till he's crawling around and grabbing everything. But yeah, it's been a wild ride, but loving it.
Mate, you mentioned your partner Jules. Typically, we like to get like a couple voice questions, so I'll play one.
Beautiful.
Hey, Locke, Wifey here. I have a question for you. If you could give your 21-year-old self some advice, what would that be?
Well, that's a good question. I feel I get asked a lot, what would I do if I had more footy related, like your 8-year-old self or 10-year-old self, what would you work on? But 21, my advice would probably be don't take yourself so seriously.
Yeah.
I reckon when I was that age, I took myself very seriously, and especially my career, which is important, but I probably went too far with it. And like I said, shut people out. Wanted to be the best player I could be, but I reckon it took away from the things outside of footy. And I reckon around that age, it's a good question. I reckon around that age, the mates that I spoke of before, I started to push them away a little bit.
Really?
But they were good enough friends to sort of hang in there probably during that period and maybe understand why I was doing that, because I was so hell-bent on being the best player I could be and forging a career. But I think now that I'm 31, I realise you don't have to do that. You don't have to push everything to the side to be. You can still be hell-bent on being the best player you can be, but you want to bring those guys along for the ride and your family. And I was probably saying with family and stuff, would get annoyed if like they called me at a time that wasn't suitable for me, and I was just like, oh, I can't be bothered. I'm just like so focused on my footy. So that's probably my advice, is to just relax a little bit and let others enjoy the ride. I was so just like, I probably didn't enjoy it myself. I was like, I just want to get to where I want to go and shut everything else off.
Man, I think a lot of guys are very similar who are a bit older, like especially in the late 20s, early 30s, who have been through it. And I think about it all the time, because you kind of got two players, like the ones who are super relaxed and probably super skillful and have a heap of natural talent, and then you've got the workhorses that probably need to just be dialed in for everything, right?
Yeah.
And I look at the two. Obviously, there's probably pros and cons to both of them, because I was similar to you. I was like just full hell bent, like bit arrogant at times, where in the sense where it's just like, nah, like all I want to do is play great. I want to play top level because I want to give myself every chance.
Yeah.
But then also like enjoying the journey as well. Like a lot of guys who I looked up to, who I reflect on now, like in the end of a game, after a game in the sheds, like they're fully just like really embracing having a beer in the sheds after a win, because they're like, I probably don't have that many left, seasons left. So they're like, let's really just enjoy the last. And I looked at that and I was like, fuck, I should have done that more when I was playing. That would have been awesome.
For sure. And I think it's a big thing, and it is hard to do at that age, and I get that. But you see some guys come in that are young, and I see a lot of myself in them, and I'm like, try and get that message across that you don't have to be so, you'll burn out probably if you keep doing that for too long. So Jules was very good at helping me see the lighter side of life at times as well, and sort of get me out and about. Like I wouldn't go out for dinner during the week and that, because I was just like, nah, I'm locked in. So, and funnily enough, once I've played my best footy since meeting her and since opening up my life to the people around me and enjoying moments with them along the way. And that's not like, that doesn't mean go out and have beers every weekend. It's more just like giving my mate a call on the way home from training today and checking in and telling him how I'm feeling about the game coming up, or how my prep's been, or whatever it is, but just sharing those parts of my journey with them, and they do the same with me, and same with family. So yeah, I've changed a lot in that space, and it's weird how it's married up. Like in the 6 or 7 years I've been here, or probably even I started dating Jules in 2016, the end of 2016, and from that year till now, like it's by far been my best part of my career.
Really?
Yeah.
It's just because like life outside of footy is so good. Do you
think so, yeah. And I've just like had a great balance, and she's helped me sort of realise that, and so have my family and whatnot as well, my mates. But yeah, just the whole balance of it has shifted significantly. And like I said, when I was 21, I probably pushed a lot of people that were trying to help me away because I was just like, no, I've got this. I'm just locked in.
How do you stay consistently in love with the game, like, or with the sport? Because 14 years is a long time, bro. And I think usually when people are in something for so long, that's usually when they get so good, right? Like 10 plus years. Think about anyone like studying in an occupation, sport.
Yeah.
Like typically once you're past the 10-year barrier, you pick up a lot of things that you wouldn't have otherwise have known. But that also comes with the thing is like when you do something so repetitively, day after day, year after year, it becomes a job. Like it's a job at the end of the day.
Yeah.
How do you stay in love with it? Or is it a matter of like, this is my job, this is when I turn up? Or is there any sort of tips or advice you have around that?
Yeah, well, I don't see it as my job, which is probably the first thing because when, like we spoke about before, I love the game. And I think for me, if I ever feel a bit of lack of motivation, I'm a bit of a weirdo and find like some real weird things to just lock in on. And like what did I one preseason at Freo, I reckon it was going into my last year that I was at Freo. We were at the new facility, and in the off season, I was kind of like, oh, it's like another preseason. Wasn't that old. I was like 24, maybe 24, 25 then. And Richmond had just won their first premiership in 2017, and I was sort of like, I was on the bike, right, and I was just in the gym, and I'm looking around. I'm like, I'm not that motivated to get going, and then I just saw black and yellow signs. They were like the sponsor signage around the oval. Yeah. I was like the Richmond colours, and I was like, they won the flag last year. And so for the whole preseason, I just locked in on like, if I was ever had no motivation, I'd lock in on the signs and be like, they won the flag, like fuck them. And then like I'm gonna work as hard as I can because I don't know, that's just what went into my brain. And I was like, yep, that's what I'm dialing in on.
Gotcha.
What else? It's probably more now like for games, I'll pick a couple of things that I won't share because some of them are like I don't want to want it out there. We don't need to do that. But like if we're coming up against an opposition, I'll just almost like just think righto, why do I want to beat them and just pick something from that and go righto. I've got a journal that I write stuff in, so like for this game, I've picked out a couple of things on Tuesday that why I want to play well and deliver. So I try and find just little pieces through the year because when you get into like round 15, 16 through the grind, you're sort of like, I feel like I need that just to keep going. Yeah. But the other thing is as well, if I'm ever really down and like, I can't be fucked today, I'll sort of take a step back and go, righto, this game has given you this house, your family, you wouldn't have met your wife, you wouldn't have these kids. It's given me a living for 14 years. So like be grateful and the game doesn't owe me anything. I owe the game everything. So that's sort of a motto I go to if I'm lacking a bit of motivation.
Brother, the gratitude is a special thing, man.
Yeah, gratitude.
Especially when you're doing it so often and you start looking at like all the small things as well. I think it can genuinely change your neuropsychology as well. And be like, you start looking for the good things in life.
I think it'll be the same once I finish footy too. If I'm going to work and there's a day where I'm like, I just can't be bothered, and then you go, well, hang on, you're living here, you've got this job, you got people around you that you've met through work, whatever it is. Have that gratitude and a better perspective rather than thinking, I just can't be bothered today.
Bro, I love that. We spoke about a lot of the highs of playing AFL. What are the things that we don't see? What are the lowlights? What are the things that are tough being in the position you're in?
Yeah, well, I think probably there's a couple, and I've spoke about before that I might look at going into media or whatever it is post-footy, but the media can be pretty brutal at times. Like even last year, we started badly and then they basically made up a story about our America trip that we went to Vegas, which we didn't even go to Vegas, so they got that part wrong. And just sort of all the footy world was talking about this trip to America, which it was blown up so much, it was crazy. And you sort of, for the first time really for me and like my footy club that I'd been a part of, I saw like a kind of a dark side, I suppose, to the media. There's always been commentary, but if it's about form and stuff for me, that doesn't bother me. It's sort of when they delve into your personal life and speak about stuff, and they basically made up things, which was crazy, but it is what it is. But probably as well, the biggest trap for people now, and it wasn't really a thing when I first started social media, especially getting tweets or direct messages on Instagram is probably the one for me. I don't have Twitter, or I only have Instagram now, so I've got rid of everything else.
Do you look through the comments and your messages?
I don't read comments too often. Sometimes I do, and so this is where I can get petty as well at times. I'll screenshot some stuff if it's about the team or like my performance, and then I'll sort of use that to drive me. So I don't mind like comments about my form or whatever, but sometimes it goes too far, and I had my message requests off, and I need to actually change it back to off because it's come back on somehow. And after round 1 this year, I'd played like one of my worst games of my career and had some crazy messages in there, and I don't even know why. I think because you know that it's there, you just like look through it and click on it. It's just like the human brain. I don't know, because I remember thinking like, don't look at your messages after today because you played bad, and it's you're not going to have many good ones in there. But I looked through it, and I screenshot a few of those and sent them to my wife and was like, have a look, this is crazy. Like,
What were they saying?
Just saying, there was a couple saying like, go kill yourself and hope you die, hope something happens to you and your family and stuff. And I was like, this is crazy. But my mind pretty much straight away went to my kids and was like, my daughter's going to have to grow up in this world where she's not going to, well, she might play AFL, who knows, but whatever she does, but she's going to be subject to social media where she puts herself out there, whether it's a photo, just like a normal photo. If we have a photo now, someone could just say you're ugly, you know, like, and I just think, my daughter's going to go through that, and just a different world to what I grew up in that I don't know a heap about. So that worries me a fair bit. Not so much about me. I can handle it, but I look at some of our younger guys who would look through their messages all the time, and it's so easy to say, just don't do it. But I'm 31 and like looked through mine, so I'm like, how can I?
It's hard, man.
Yeah, how can I tell them not to do it? So that's why I just turn it off. And most of the time I'm pretty good, but occasionally you slip and you read some of the negative stuff and doesn't impact me too much. Some of that did, because I was like, that's just crazy.
I was going to say, does it have effect on you or even your partner as well? Because it's gnarly stuff. Like no one in their right mind would say that to you, to your face, right?
No,
like,
exactly. And that's the thing I hate about it the most. And you've got a screen and you've got a barrier there, and they feel like they can say anything without any repercussions or being held responsible. Yeah, so the other week I was like, all right, I'm actually going to reply to a couple and just like say, like, you know, we all have feelings, and it's not really on. A couple I went a little, not harder, but just said like, righto, hero or whatever. And usually the response is like, oh my God, I didn't think you would reply, I'm so sorry. And a couple of them like deleted their message and was like, I'm so sorry. Someone said I'm going through a hard time. It doesn't excuse that, but like, apologies that I sent that. So sometimes maybe you can teach them that like, we are human and we have feelings as well. But then there's others that just double down and go harder. So it's not worth it in the long run. But I think that's probably the first time in like 3 or 4 years that I've ever replied to any of them. But
because I was going to say, I wonder if that like encourages them more, because they want to want to speak to you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I wonder if replying is just like, oh no, I might get a reply.
It's hard to know. It's hard to know. So
well, just know we're turning it off now, so you can't even see it anymore anyway.
Turn them off. But yeah, for young guys, it's hard. It's really hard, and they you cop some brutal stuff online that, like you said, no one would say. Maybe one in a million would say to your face. So. I sort of hate social media for that part, but it does some really good stuff too. So I understand that we need it, and it can be really good. But yeah, just that part of it is pretty brutal. And probably the other thing that is footy related that people wouldn't see is probably just like the injuries and stuff that guys get and play through, and how it affects their week to week and their daily lives. Like, people probably just see us rock up and play, and then they don't really see us until the next weekend. But and you would know the battle that some guys go through to get up to play, and the mental sort of fatigue that can that comes with it is pretty wild. I know for me, I had a bit of a foot problem last year, and once the season finished and we won, and then so for about a month I was like on top of the world, and then I crashed and I was like, far out, I'm knackered it was from trying to get up for games later in the year, and just the mental fatigue, and getting injections and whatnot to play, and all those sorts of things that all sort of added up. And I was like dead set, just like, I just need to stay home and just chill for like 2-3 weeks and decompress.
Crashed after the grand final? A
Yeah,
month
probably
after?
a month after. Yeah.
What does that look like? Like,
I just had like my social battery was empty, and
Yeah.
I just had no energy to do too much other than parent and I was basically just sat at home and didn't do a whole heap. It was still a nice time because I got to sort of reset, but that was sort of when I was like, right, like motivation's low now, and everything is just sort of at a low, so just had to build up from there. But I think that fans and people that watch the game or any sport really, the preparation and some of the hard times guys and girls have to go through to get up to play.
Yeah.
You don't really see much of that behind the scenes. I think it would be cool to show more of that to the public. I know it's hard because you're still playing. You don't want opposition to see like how sore guys are.
Yeah.
I think it would be cool to do at one stage, maybe when a guy's finished their career, have this bank of footage or something.
Matt, I think the reset piece is super interesting, hey, because like you go all season and like the resilience piece of like getting injured or even just like week to week soreness, like naturally
and emotions, winning and losing, and like
it's a whole thing. And Matt, I think I've struggled with like having a reset and just going all through the year. And I think as I get a little bit older on and talking to other people who have been in it forever, taking time probably is a great thing. And everyone's different. I think people have different capacities, right? Like you've been in it for 14 years, your capacity is probably a lot bigger than someone who's a bit younger. Potentially, I don't know, might be different per the individual, but taking time just to like reset, spending time with the people who like build you up, like your family and your friends, super important, I think.
Yeah, it's massive. And I sort of do it every year now, but I was sort of just lower than I'd sort of ever been in terms of energy levels and whatnot after last year. So I sort of knew I needed a big reset. And but every year I feel the same at some point in the off season where I go, right, I've just got to chill out now and just start again, reset.
Because naturally you think after a grand final, you just be on a high forever and that just keeps going up. It's like, I actually need a break, man.
I know. Yeah. No, it's funny how it works. But I probably thought that as well. I was like, now that we won one, I was like, I'll be feeling so good the whole off season, going to preseason, just up and about. But it was pretty much the opposite at the start of the preseason. So, and I knew I wasn't going to be training with the guys for a while. I'd be in rehab and stuff. So I was sort of like, all right, this is going to be a bit of a mental test, and just had to have that reset.
Beautiful, bro. I do have one more question from Jules while we're here before we wrap it up.
Hey Mark, Jules, I have a question for you. Is there anything you are afraid that you won't accomplish?
I like her questions, man.
Yeah, she's going
I
deep
like
with
her
these.
questions, man.
Anything I'm afraid I won't accomplish? On the field, no. I feel like for me, I've ticked everything. But I think there might be one, which is I want people my teammates that I've played with, past and present, to think that I'm a good teammate and a good person. So I think for me, in terms of like trophies or individual awards or whatever, like now I'm like, that's whatever. I want to win premierships. Don't get me wrong. I want to keep winning those. They're amazing. But I think I want to be known as a good teammate and a good person to be around and helpful, and sort of leave a bit of a legacy to the guys now coming through. And in 5-10 years' time, when I'm not here and they see me, they go, oh, he was like such a good teammate, such a good person to be around. So I'm probably afraid, and especially because early on I was so hell-bent on myself and getting the most out of myself, that maybe people won't see me like that. But I know I've still got time now, and I think over the last sort of 3 or 4 years I've been a better teammate and person than I was before. But still, that's probably something that, it's not really an accomplishment, I guess, but it's something that, I fear that I won't have the respect and that from my teammates now and before me.
What do you think your teammates or even your friends would say about you when you're not in the room now?
I think they would say driven. I think they'd say I'm fun to be around. And like I said before, I think everyone that is close to me knows I'm pretty impatient. So that'd probably be a word that gets thrown up. And that's sort of come from, and don't get me wrong. I think it's helped my career for sure because I've been really driven, but it's also taken some things away, and maybe I could have been better earlier as well. But I still have those tendencies as well to when I want to do something, or like I'm even simple things like if I want to buy a new camera, I can't wait. I'll be like, all right, I got to go to the shops now and get it. And so I rush into some things like that, and I can make like rash decisions on just impulse and be like, that's what I want to do. So probably impatient, or if that's the right word, would be something I'd say.
You mentioned at the start of the podcast, like growth and like wanting to be the best version of yourself. Do you think that's where you want to grow?
Yeah, I think that's my biggest thing. I think at the moment, I think that would be number one. There's heaps of areas that I'm still not great at, and like I said before, calling mates on the way home from training, I've gotten a lot better at that, but I still think I can go to another level.
Yeah.
I want to be checking in on even like my grandma and stuff more often, and I find myself getting caught up in my week to week that it would go like 2 or 3 months, and I'm like, oh shit, I haven't spoken to Gran and checked up how she's gone, and or I haven't FaceTime mum to show her Freddie for a week or two, whereas like I should be doing that more often. So, but I think now I'm recognising that, and I'm getting better at it, but there's still a way to go with that side too. I've got heaps of things that I want to keep working on as a person. I could be here all day and talk about it.
I love how aware you are, man. It's awesome. Mate, before we wrap things up, is there anything that you'd want to talk about that you didn't think we discussed?
No, I think it's been a good discussion about a wide range of things, and appreciate you letting me open up and share some of my story, and hopefully people get a little bit out of it.
Well, bro, I'm very grateful to have you on, man. I think it was cool to just shoot the shit and go through the whole journey. So, man, very grateful. So, thank you, bro.
Thanks, Keegs.
Easy,
Appreciate it, mate.
Done, bro.